Part two of expensive gas prices. How much did I? Alright, things recording. So a lot's happened, and I've just decided to dissect everything piece at a time into one video. Just kind of, I guess, make commentary content while sitting in my goddamn car. Why am I sitting in my car recording this video? Because it's my fucking video, so get over. So the first thing to get out of the way is updates on regional / OTS events. So I've been to the as of recently Minneapolis regional and about two OTS events. I did not top the regional, unfortunately. I went X4 by round 7, and yeah, we unfortunately don't take those sometimes. The deck list will be a separate video because I didn't feel like nerding out till in this video. I thought I was going to, but then I realized I wanted to just talk about the deck in depth, and I have both lists on my new computer, which I recently got, and just figured, fuck it, we'll just try something a little different and then see what I can do from there. So not much detail to get in the way. The results were just miscalculations, and I'd say just poor play for the most part. In terms of results, it wasn't like I played a bad deck. I played a deck that was expected to do well, and because of that, the only disadvantage I had was people getting prepared for my matchup specifically, and that was just pretty much it. I rarely ran into the mirror. I rarely ran into the decks I was actually hoping to run into, and the only other decks I ran into that I was somewhat prepared for was Radiant Typhoon, and Radiant Typhoon just absolutely mollywopped me the 2 out of the 3 times that I saw them. I was actually supposed to lose all 3, but the first one, let's just say I was playing Carl from Jimmy Neutron, and that was my opponent. Getting into the OTS championships, more or less the same, basically a repeat of the regionals, just poor play overall, and I'd say unfortunate circumstances on top of that. That was just a repeat on multiple things that had occurred the previous regional events, and I guess I gotta find a way to bubble past that, and then hopefully there will be a video of me topping and then showing a deck list. What I actually wanted to get into today was just different topics. So I don't know, just random talking shit, I guess, or whatever the fuck came up on my mind. But for sure, I see a decent topic just popping up randomly, and that is everybody getting freaked out about Logan Paul jumping into Yu-Gi-Oh after he had jumped into Pokemon and One Piece, and the complaint is just basically he's gonna skyrocket the market, and then everything is just gonna be scalped, which, I mean, there's a good and a bad side. So let's just run let's just critically think for just a little bit. So the immediate thing is people wondering why the insanity will cause a positive rise to the community, and it isn't specifically the market. I could give a shit less about the market, because years ago the problem was that people complained about how expensive Yu-Gi-Oh decks were, and it was a legit complaint, and the reason I was behind that complaint was because of the fact that you had to spend over $100 minimum, right? It wasn't spending $50, which is still egregious, right? Because spending, for me and Ishii, right, the idea that spending like more than $5 on a card is just pretty egregious in and of itself, because we're just people that don't we look at a deck list and we buy it off of that, right? Like we like $1 here, 50 cents there, and that's just pretty much it. So I don't really care about like just getting a plus off of things that like I already plan to play and own for the next year or so. The positive impact is more or less the fact that there's gonna be attention to Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's gonna be people that'll be interested in Yu-Gi-Oh. Because past the Logan Paul bullshit, I'm having actual conversation with people, right? No, I actually touch fucking grass. There's a conversation with between different TCG players, and a good chunk of them were just like people that used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, because Yu-Gi-Oh at some point or another was in a TCG player's life, and if it wasn't directly in their life, it was something that they ended up watching. Like they used to watch the anime, or they knew of people they knew of people that can like they knew of people that like played the game competitively, casually, or just like, oh, they had a Dark Magician. And a lot of them were pretty interested in the fact that like, oh, you know, my Blue Eyes White Dragon has an upgrade that looks phenomenal on an overframe card that has that's basically a full art Pokemon card, but in a Yu-Gi-Oh form, and it's quote unquote more affordable, and the hit rates are better than Pokemon, quote unquote, and etc. etc. So like there are actual interest in the upcoming sets, and Konami did a pretty fucking good ass job at advertising that. So it's not all negative. It's more or less like it's more positive than people make it out to be. The thing is that when you focus more specifically on the people involved, it is hard to have to look at it this way, and it's reasonable, because I mean, let's not like beat around the bush. Logan Paul is a serialized piece of shit. He's had multiple controversies within his life, a majority of which that he's caused himself, and he's also financially scammed people. He has scammed people, and he has no shame in doing so, unless he is publicly called out, because he is ready to just hit a I don't fucking know, a lawsuit or something. I think there's still a potential ongoing lawsuit with another individual named CoffeeZilla, but like all that bullshit aside, you know, you gotta take advantage of where you can, and that's the only reason why TCG markets end up being profitable anyway, right? Because if there's one game I think I thought for the longest was still dead, it was Vanguard. And truth be told, like I think it's still I have an idea in my head that it's still dead, but there's still people that love the game, and that's all that really matters, right? For the love of the game, that's what keeps a company alive. And because there are people that still love Yu-Gi-Oh, like myself, the cards will continue to keep monetary value. I probably didn't use that word correctly, but the point is that there's still going to be a decent amount of value to like get off of it anyway. Everything is derived off of the competition, and that's mostly it. Collectabilities become harder due to the fact that Konami's done an egregious amount of reprints on particular cards, but honestly speaking, that's kind of like what you want anyway. If you're expecting to play in a competition, you want for these cards to be remotely accessible. You really don't want for a card to be over $500, and you're not going to be able to sell that card unless someone is like really wanting to like play at a particular competition. Because what else is going to happen to that card? The people that don't play competition and just manage to have it, they're just going to lend it out to their friends and then some. And that's the way that people have been doing competition for the longest time. That's how I did competition for the longest time. Like a majority of the cards that I played for some of the bigger events were cards that like I had either borrowed or had to do IOUs for. Like I ended up having to owe people after the fact because I just decided I don't want to borrow cards like that anymore. There's a video of me playing Malice, surfing around YouTube, and the impulses that I played in that video were not mine. They were it was my good friend Steven's Shout out to Steven, by the way, Steven Cohn. So realistically speaking, like, the market really doesn't matter. In hindsight, like, the market fluctuates, and that's really, like, it's not the most consistent for the community. But what better way can we really ask for? We have cards that are readily accessible, and to profit off of a card, you have to be able to, like, dive in 2, maybe 3 boxes, right? And honestly speaking, okay, the only thing that really matters in terms of, like, how we escape that is if the company decides we get more collectible cards, right? Which has to be in the form of staples or iconic cards that can be playable. That's just the honest to God truth. We can't have cards that are just not, like, playable anymore. The only card that and, like, one of the most expensive Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the current market, right, that is, like, somewhat accessible is Dragon Master Magia, sitting at, like, a little over $500, and it tanked hard. It used to be over $800 to $900, and it tanked extremely hard. Like, insane value was lost from its existence, and honest to God, you're better with a $500 to $600 card, because what was its purpose? Its purpose is that it's a playable collectible card that is extremely hard to pull. You know, it has 3 copies, and it's now getting a overframe copy, and like, that overframe copy is probably gonna tank the quarter century secret rare a little more, but again, right, it's gonna be an extremely hard card to make. Like, Konami's probably gonna make it no less than a overframe quarter century secret rare. Maybe a overframe secret rare at best. The homie Tyson had called. Shout out to Tyson. Back on topic. We have to have collectible staples, because that is what will really attract the crowd. Because then that's where people can really, like, sit on something. It's not the fact that, like, because initially, like, the joke was that, oh, you're asking a Yu-Gi-Oh player if they're rich, right? But honestly speaking, there are people that like to bling out their decks. There's not like it's not like people don't want to buy quarter century secret rares or make a deck shinier than gold, right? It's the fact that people will buy it, and then all of a sudden, a few months later, it won't retain its value. You'll buy it for like $100, and then all of a sudden you see it for like $30, and not even just a week, because of the fact that, like, you know, that's how the market fluctuates sometimes. And it's like, it's painful specifically for Yu-Gi-Oh, because then it's like, what was the point of even sitting there? No one wants to crack anything. And the people that do crack and that make, like, poor financial decisions, puts everything all in, and they finally decide, and then, like, they decide, oh, I want to get my money's worth. No one wants to buy anything. The situations that come up from there is people haggle. Oh, you know, I bought a case. I want to make my money's worth. And some other people are going to go, well, too fucking bad. You paid $1,500 for a case. I'm not giving you jack shit, because I know the prices are going to tank in about a week or so. That's what people know. So then there's no longer that incentive of getting a case and getting things and cracking it. So now with like the new cards coming in, there's a hope in that things can be decently profitable, right? And now adding the abundance of a piece of shit individual who has a habit of, like, driving up the market, that will end up being the case. Like certain cards may be a little more collectible. So now let's get into like the problems, right? And like, it's not just the fact that Logan Paul is in it. Like, we've already established that. But the problems now is that realistically speaking, right, the things that I just mentioned, those things like won't, like, those things has to happen, right? Like, Konami has to make the sudden decision to like make things more collectible, right? So what I mean by that is, hypothetically speaking, I think the best way for them to profit is if they have staples, or if they have particular cards that they know is going to be pretty fucking good within the time frame of like different sets, right? So hypothetically speaking, okay, let's say in another set like down the road, by like November or December, they create a new core set, and then in that core set has a secret a secret really rare luxury rare, and that luxury rare is just something good. That was something that they did a while back, right? So they did that a while back. In Photon Hypernova, there was a chance that you could pull a Starlight Rare Mirror Jade, which is currently sitting at $300. It used to be between the range of $300 and $600. $600 was the peak because Branded ended up being one of the best playable decks at a particular time in the format. They got to do something like that again, because it was really good. It was actually good. Cards were collectible, and particular things were a chase. What was another chase that happened right after Photon Hypernova? Battles of Legend, Crystal's. It was not Crystal's Revenge, but in Crystal's Revenge they had Access Go Talker. It was Battles of Legend, Monsters Revenge, and in Monsters Revenge they had Lubellion as a quarter century secret rare, and it was the only quarter century secret rare to ever exist. People forgot that it existed at a certain point in time because it was just so hard to pull. But at the same time, when you create a card like that is so delicate and collectible, right? The moment you pull it is just fucking insane. And then you meet people like I, at one point or another, had actually considered investing in a quarter century secret rare Lubellion, because what was the loss? The loss was going to be like it potentially tanking if Konami had decided, fuck it, we're gonna make a Starlight Rare Lubellion and print that in like one of the tins, right? I think that's the only loss that I could ever see in that, and that was actually the reason I decided not to get it, because I was just thinking, man, maybe down the road it's just not gonna be a card worth collecting if Konami decides to do that. But they haven't done anything to it yet, and I'm really glad they didn't, because it's still a collectible card. So now that we've established like the point that I'm trying to make, if they did that for like Mitsurugi and they had a Habakiri Starlight Rare or a Border Starlight Rare, fucking hell, they make a Grandmaster Rare in one of the core sets for Mitsurugi, and it's specifically only printed in that set. I think the card can be collectible. I think people will like collecting it, and it's also like a very unique type of monster anyway. It's a reptile. There's not a lot of players that like reptiles, and like if people weren't going to get it because they didn't like reptiles, right? What was the other point? Habakiri is one of the best printed cards in the game. It's like damn near ban worthy, and it's a card that people should be getting. And if they already have the card, right, because its lowest print is a super rare, as it fucking should be. It's a super rare, for God's sake, and it's like not hard to get access to. Like if you were seriously down in the dumps for a Mitsurugi Habakiri, you could find it anywhere. It just also got reprinted in one of the best competitive structure decks in the game, just simply because of the fact that like Mitsurugi is part of that, part of the 3 cores that you get from it, and it's not hard to get access to a cheaper copy. So it's not like Mitsurugi was a deck that was like gate kept. Like they have different versions of the card, and something like that could sell. And again, a lot of the things that I mentioned is a hypothetical, right? There's no such thing as a Grandmaster Rare Mitsurugi Habakiri. There is a Starlight Rare, but the point is that Konami just has to do something like that and the negative is that there's a chance that Konami just chooses not to, because I mean, realistically speaking, if Logan Paul gets into the game, Konami needs to take a step and like actually take advantage of the fact that a piece of shit is putting more attention to the game, right? So what's the best thing that Konami can do from it? I think the thing they need to jump on is the fact that they create more bigger events. An event happens, and then all of a sudden, like, people are gonna go nuts about Yu-Gi-Oh! Why would you not capitalize it and then create events or create an announcement where you have prizing, right? And I don't mean just like a particular prize card, okay? Because like the prize cards that we are getting from the Anotherverse series is really terrible. It's insanely terrible. Like, I don't want a one-off like gate-kept card that is like just only receivable through winning top 64 or top 32 at a YCS event or a regional event. Like, cards like that became just insanely broken for no reason. You know, they were insanely broken because you won something, right? And from that point on, like, cards were collectible, but they were too inaccessible. And at some point, you were wondering what was the purpose of even playing anyway, right? So instead of like recreating that cycle, create a higher rarity staple or a higher rarity card that makes sense to be in the game. It could be Habakiri. It could be Murakumo. It could honestly be Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, because people are already chasing. They were already chasing the Effect Veiler from Nationals. I think it was either Nats or it was like YCS events in general, but it doesn't matter. The point that I'm making is that higher rarity staples or higher rarity cards of that particular caliber are just insanely collectible. If you're not gonna make a playable card for a prize card, but you don't want to repeat the problem of like gate-kept cards, you got to make something. You have to make something. There has to be some type of way for you to like jump back in the prizing, right? And make it all fucking worth your hard-earned money to fly all the way to New York City or Las Vegas or Miami or another country like Canada in Toronto. Like, whatever it has to be, it needs to be worth all those grueling hours people spend to like to even get there, okay? Because for me, the only reason I went to the regional events and the OTS events is because it's the only event that I can have accessible to me. Otherwise, like, it is insanely expensive to have to like go different places. I have to cancel my trip to YCS Vegas due to room complications, and I just decided not to go to Vegas anyway, because theoretically speaking, I can hang out with my friends that are still going to be there, but housing is expensive. You know, the housing market is just gone on the rise, and because of that, it's just insanely harder to have to prep for events that'll take 2 or 3 days. You know, especially if it's not in a state that you have like housing accessible to. You know, theoretically speaking, if I had to meet with one of my relatives for housing for an event like that in Vegas, I have to house in California and then make a trip all the way from California to Nevada and then play, and hope to God I don't go X3 in the first 3 rounds, or the first 4 rounds are just like get absolutely destroyed. So given that type of situation, there has to be a reward, or there has to be something that was worth chasing for anyway, you know. I know people like Joshua Schmidt or particular folks in general are not the fan of, like, you know, people are required to be like paid back what they paid for. But at the same time, how else can you keep a fan base, right? How else can you keep competition? Because like events like these are expensive. It's not even just the fact that like, oh, we can't pay $25 for the entry, or we can't pay $45 for the entry. That's not the problem. The problem is that there's nothing to earn for, right? In an event like this. Because for local events, at the very least, if you were there, you had a chance to pull an ultimate rare, and honestly, the ultimate rares now kind of suck aside from Typhon. But like even a couple of years back, right? You pulled an ultimate rare that was like worth a decent amount of money, or one of the best ultimate rares, and that ultimate rare could have sat between, at worst, maybe $30 to $40, right? Depending on the card that it was, and at best $120, like the ultimate rare Fenrir, something like that. And you didn't have to win the event to be able to score. You scored because you pulled that, or you pulled the Starlight rare, or etc. Something like that has to happen for these bigger events, because then again we wonder what was the chase for, you know? And again, it is for people to like get time out of their day from their day jobs, yes, but again, there has to be some sort of reward, or reward nonetheless for like even attending. And I'm not saying give everybody participation medals. I'm not saying you know, give free shit away. There like nothing can be free in this world, right? But if we're gonna have someone like Logan Paul come in and drive up the markets, and there's only the positive that the game gets spotlight and people are coming back into the community, that is a problem. You know, like it's a positive nonetheless, but it's the only positive if we continue having these problems. So that's the topic of the day. If you guys have any particular like points yourself, go ahead and tell me in the comments. Otherwise, if you want more discussion videos like this, or just me talking in general, because sometimes I just come on here and I just talk. Leave a like, subscribe, tell me whatever the fuck, and yeah, like that's all it is to it. I really hope Konami in the next month or two can make a announcement for pricing, because legitimately speaking, I would really like to be able to like acquire something for even making the event. You guys saw my trip to nationals, where I was sitting in the back of Comet's trunk and like just chilling there for 8 hours straight, and then, you know, after the event, go 8 hours back in that same damn trunk till I got to sit in the passenger seat because I cramped my fucking leg. It's a process, and I really hope Konami can pay off their fans, or not pay off their fans. I really hope Konami can like really pay it off to their fans, to like, you know, for the appreciation of the game, for that. But anyways, I'm just yapping now. Thank you again for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, hope y'all have a good day.
Bitch, don't think that you just know me. You been fucking on the wrong team, acting like you out here lonely. You just want some of my money. I've been fucking with